Cześć, witajcie w kolejnym odcinku. Przygotujemy się do następnej wyprawy, przejażdżki i zobaczymy, co nas będzie dalej czekało fabularnie tutaj. Widzę jakiś nowy faks. O kurde, to grubo. Taka muzyczka fajna gra, to jeszcze sobie spojrzymy. Możemy coś tutaj odblokować. Stabilnej energii nam potrzeba. Dobra, to jedziemy najpierw zdobyć stabilną energię. A w tym celu udamy się do tutaj.
Hey, driver. Sorry about all that mess with Oppie. There's no question, Oppie is a once-in-a-generation genius. I've watched her manipulate wavelengths with nanometer precision without batting an eye. So, yeah, to see her go from being the sharpest person in the room to what she is now is disappointing. This place, it leeches away your sanity day by day. So for Oppie to live here in complete isolation, locked away with only bad memories and expired medication, nothing good comes of that.
I'd feel a hell of a lot better if I knew why she suddenly cares so much about the remnants.
No proszę, my tu się tutaj udaliśmy na taką przejażdżkę, a oni coś gadają. De facto po farmić pojechaliśmy jeszcze tak na szybko.
Speaking of Oppie, you're not gonna like this, Francis, but I'm starting to think we can't do this alone. Look, it's not that I doubt our abilities.
But no one knows the zone like that old man.
You heard what she said. She'll sabotage this remnant before helping us.
Right. Well, she'll come around to our jobs.
No, she won't. Nothing in the 13 years we spent in R&D proved that she's open to working with anyone. She dug her heels in so deep that she wrestled everyone down into the grave with her. I can't be involved if she is.
What are you talking about? This is the entire reason we stayed behind, to write the record of the zone. Not about the experiments and the technology, but to tell the legends of the land.
I don't want anything to do with her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want her advice. I don't want to hear her goddamn voice.
This isn't like you. What's going on, Francis? Is there something I should know?
No.
All you work and limb R&D, all the time you spent, your entire career, your entire life. You sacrificed it all for Ada, and how did they thank you? With a black hole in your resume, where you can't tell anyone what you did. You couldn't even tell people where you wiped your ass for 10 years. So no, I'm not letting this go. Not for me, but especially not for you.
That's not... Never mind.
You know, sometimes I wonder, how much of you staying here was actually to hunt these legends? Or if it was because you had nowhere else to go.
Chłopaki nam zaczynają się kłócić. To nic dobrego nie wróży. A tu coś do poczytania znaleźliśmy o listonoszu, drugą część. No proszę. Da się, da się. Ależ wieje, powiedziałby Geralt.
Here's what we know. Over 50 years ago, in November of 1946, Dr. Ophelia Turner was 27. She had recently returned home to the Olympic Peninsula to lick her wounds after a failed stint in academia. In a fit of obsession or redemption, or quite frankly both, she cobbled together a laboratory in her basement and produced the first limb wave on nothing but a killer hunch and plain ingenuity. Or so the story goes. It's never clearly stated anywhere what limb waves and limb technology really were. It's all vague claims and wild theories, dreams that border more on the mystical than the scientific. What we do know is that limb stood for unlimited frequency. Radio waves, once souped up and modulated just right, supposedly enabled the control of matter in a way that modern science both back then and now could only dream of. After Dr. Turner's discovery, she and a few friends, scientists and PhDs all, toyed with limb in their garage labs for about 4 years. The local police and fire departments start making regular house calls, spurred on by increasingly disgruntled neighbors calling in about incidents that seem to grow larger and more disturbing as the years go on. After one too many reports, the federal government takes notice, and thus begins their severe interest in limb technology. The next part happens quickly. In 1955, the United States government seizes not only the physical area where Dr. Turner and her scientists live, but the entire concept of limb technology. The area is at first evacuated under the pretense of safety, but quickly commandeered by the government. They establish a brand new department called ARDA, Advanced Resonance Development Authority, which was to be headed by Dr. Turner herself. Over the next 15 years, the government expands the zone's borders. They clear out civilians as they go and erect massive 500-meter walls to keep out an increasingly curious public. The zone started in the northernmost tip of the peninsula, then expanded outward twice. Once in 1961, again in 1967, to the outer perimeter we see now.
Okej. No, bez tego światła to nic nie widać. Więc będziemy zwiewać. Ojojoj, ojojoj.
You seen these readings, Francis? Gateway opens like blah 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 blah, blah and the car goes pound.
Sensors go. The Syllosphere, oh, my favorite part.
Jest i nowy faks. Nie da się zamknąć tych drzwi garażowych. I zagłusza wszystko. Masz coś? strasznie dużo złomu nam wyrzucił. Jeszcze nigdy tak nie było, to bardzo ciekawe zjawisko. Dziękuję. A, to zrobiliśmy ten backseat, dobra. Okej, czyli to nie ten chciałem, ale niech będzie. A tu jest side, to tu mamy na tylne siedzenia. Seat-tracki, a tu jest side-track. Dawać. Wiem, że z przodu nie można nic. I teraz, co tu możemy zamontować na siedzeniu i na boku? Oto jest pytanie. Mini turbina. To mnie ciekawi. Zobaczymy, jak to wygląda. Chociaż mamy już lightning rod, to zobaczymy, sprawdzimy jeszcze mini turbinę. Jak to będzie śmiechowo wyglądać. O, kurde. Grubo to wygląda. Chyba pomyślę nad tym dodatkowym zbiornikiem paliwa. Mam tylko nadzieję, że to nam doda do głównego samochodu, do całego paliwka, a nie... Tak. Chyba tak. No dobra, to mamy paliwka na zapas. Możemy sobie jakieś namachy, jakiś lepszy panel zrobić. Więc nie jest źle. Nie wiem, jak to działa, ale przetestujemy to. Ohoho. Kozacko. Miszmasz. Nowy faks. No, ciekawe rzeczy tu się dzieją. Możemy ruszać dalej. Oho, daleko będzie. Kolejne zadanie fabularne to dojechać do znacznika Tobiasa.
Well, that was a disaster. Not only am I not able to display them, but I'm trapped in hold. My lab, call it that, is now destroyed and I barely got the thing outside.
Wybraliśmy niebezpieczną drogę. Wiedzieliśmy. On nas leczy.
So there's been like a bunch of weird stuff happening over on Smith Zone.
Yeah, like ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, big ones.
Did you really say ghosts?
Yeah.
How many times have you said ghosts?
It's not ghost. It's never been ghost. It's not.
Okay, name one thing that's making it a ghost. Name one. You can't.
Big. That's not exclusive.
To ghosts, but okay, keep going.
It's big and it's glowing. That's
Light bulbs. Congratulations.
and you can see good.
Let's see through light bulbs. That's a thing. You saw light.
I'm not like the telephone pole. That's not a ghost. That's just a public.
Telephone pole doesn't light up. That never happened.
There's lights on them sometimes. Light pole, telephone pole, same thing.
Yeah, at the top, but it's not.
Supposed to be.
Okej. Ja nie widzę, gdzie jadę. Stąd trzeba zwiewać.
After the multi-stage evacuation of the Olympic Peninsula's 100,000-strong population, the records get sketchy. Once the region is swept clean of civilian eyes, the flow of information trickles to an eventual stop. ARDA has always maintained that the evacuation was done in the name of national security, that there was simply nothing more patriotic than sacrificing your homes, with the communists plotting our demise across the Atlantic. Certainly not because there was any danger from the strange experiments happening inside, or situations most unnatural to witness. ARDA kept a wide berth, displacing citizens far ahead of the front line, so first-hand accounts of things going awry were rare. But rumors spread fast, and everyone had some story about a distant relative whose pet changed in inexplicable ways, or a friend of a friend who followed strange lights into the woods and never returned. Once the civilians cleared out, the ARDA employees moved in. Scientists, officials, support staff, and their families made the Olympic exclusion zone home, reaching anywhere from 300 to 1,000 in total at its peak. What any of them were doing in the zone was kept hush-hush, but the population just outside the walls becomes secrecy irresistible. Every shipment of raw material, out-of-season weather pattern, and inexplicable light or sound became the talk of the town for the first decade of the zone's existence.
Dobra, to dojeżdżamy w końcu tam, gdzie powinniśmy. Do miejsca, w którym przecięły się losy masowej halucynacji.
Are you ready, driver? Okay, first off, I've loaded up 3 locations on your ARC device map. You see them? Head to whichever strikes your fancy.
You're sending them to the missions?
Sure am. We're going to use this.
My optical vassalizer. We shouldn't use that.
Why not?
I mean, it's been decades. No way that thing is in any sort of working shape.
I've been fixing her up in secret, and I'm sorry. Don't be mad.
It's gonna be a surprise for your birthday.
Oh, I've gone ahead and made an itty-bitty modification to your headset, driver. I've hooked up the basalizer here to modulate your scan function. Think of it like an extra layer of mayonnaise on your technology sandwich.
What are you using the vassalizer for?
No spoilers. We have to tell the story from the beginning. Driver, get ready to feast your eyes on the visions.
Kurczę.
So we told you about the mass hallucination. Hundreds of people.
30 seconds of crazy, yada yada. But there was one instance where that event and the remnants intersected.
The Great Pile Up. You know, if you catch the mural at the right angle, when the moon is right overhead, you can spot the helmsman's body in one of the boats.
No chance. It's a paint smudge, nothing more.
Believe me, it's true. I've seen it.
Okej. Będziemy oglądać jakieś...
Hey, is it just me or did this mural look different before?
Probably the instability messing with the paint over time. It's been decades after all.
Nah, something's definitely off.
Hey, where's our old notes from when we took a field trip out that way?
Driver, why don't you go ahead to the next one while we investigate this?
No, I'm telling you, the helmsman never made it out of the zone. He died here.
Not this again. I still don't know why you're so convinced he existed in the first place.
Driver, back me up here. This is how the story goes. It was the winter of '72. A ship set sail down the Columbia River 100 miles east of here. The helmsman was overcome by bad weather, and while in a particularly foggy patch, the boat
Hit something, and the impact threw him from the deck. When he woke up, he was on a boat on this very lake, smack in the middle of the zone, with no idea how he got there. He had with him a ridiculous amount of cash and paid anyone and everyone to get him out of the zone.
But no matter how he tried to leave, on foot, in a transport, he would always head into a fog and reemerge on another boat. At last count, the Great Pile-Up was 20 boats high and 30 boats wide.
A limb duplication glitch, nothing more.
And you, of all people, blaming limb tech instead of a good old-fashioned mystery?
It doesn't add up. Artist's favorite pastime was carting people out of the zone. How could someone actually fail to escape? And a mysterious man with a backpack full of cash, and the one place he can't spend it. Seems awfully fishy to me. This is where your theory comes in, Francis. You tell him. Oh, look at me babbling away. Francis, you explain it. It's so good.
No, it's just... I'd rather not.
Come on, we talked about this. You should be proud of your work. Toot your own horn.
Not this time.
Okay, well, Francis's theory, his entire branch of research was that the zone exhibits a property seen nowhere else on Earth. Every phenomena that occurs here leaves its fingerprint forever on the physical space. So he created this device to pick up on these sub-physical after effects. How did you explain it? It was like identifying a whale's favorite color using only the wake it leaves behind. The rest was science mumbo-jumbo.
It's a form of electromagnetic imprint. Anyway, it was a long time ago.
And what a better time than now to try it again.
Jakie miejsca tu są? Na tych bagnach. Niesamowite. Co to jest? Wy to widzicie? To co to jest? Tu mamy kolejny mural.
Ah, the Bigfoot mural. My personal favorite.
Okej, wielka stopa.
Oh, did you see that, Francis? Oh boy, Francis, look. Look here, it's different from our sketch when we visited in '82.
It's all scrambled, but the shape seems familiar. If you tilt your head, doesn't that kind of look like Mount Olympus?
Oh, Francis, you flippin' genius! It absolutely is! Wait, let's look back at the first one. What's different there?
That shape right there, is that Hook Valley?
Holy smokes! Oh, wait, pull up all the topographical maps of the peninsula. If we look around the areas where you'd get that view of Mount Olympus... See, Francis? I told you your basilizer would work.
I don't think this is the basilizer's doing.
Driver, we're on to something. Get to that third vision.
Jedziemy, próbujemy się tam dostać.
Driver, if you come across a mushroom like the one in the mural, do not eat it. No matter how tasty it might look.
You're speaking from personal experience. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty.
Oh, just thinking about it makes me want to puke all over again. You've probably passed the biogenerators by now. They're our source of power in the mid-zone, and one of the best demonstrations of renewable limb tech. Yes, these battery farms keep our lights on, but more importantly, they're also the only place in the entire zone where anomalized mushrooms grow.
And guess who turned out to be the world's biggest fan of those mushrooms? Bigfoot itself! And the vision foretold its arrival in the zone.
It started when those pods hanging from the battery farms were found chewed up. At first, they blamed it on the local wildlife. This was back when we used to have some. And then, the sightings of 10-foot-tall creatures started that didn't attract too much attention on their own.
Not until the first footprints were found. The Olympic Peninsula has always had a collection of Bigfoot sightings, but they were rare until Bigfoot had its first taste of the anomalized mushrooms. Then it couldn't stay away. And that's when the Squatches came knocking. They jumped the wall, set up camp, and they got to investigate it.
Once they learned of the Sasquatch's appetite for these mushrooms, they cultivated entire farms of the stuff.
For months, they propagated mushrooms and set traps.
And for months, evidence mounted that Sasquatch was making its rounds and evading those traps. Until one night, the experts disappeared.
Bigfoot got them, no question.
Come on, all 8 at once? How is that possible?
Never get in the way of a hungry Sasquatch. So about that last vision.
I can't even look at it. Francis, you explain it.
And maybe you've already seen them, driver. A freestanding bright blue door in its frame, out in the wilderness with nothing around it. If you do see one, don't get anywhere close to it.
I don't want to talk about it.
He was pretty close to a doorway when it opened. It's called the inverting doorway. When the door is shut, it's safe. But once in a while, it opens, and everything near it is turned inside out. Its victims are mostly bears, squirrels, and birds. They all go through hell. Meat and bones on the outside, fur and feathers on the inside. It's
Not fun to see. Once, a group of hikers didn't heed the warning, and
No, we're done here, driver. If you see one, you stay away from it. That's all you need to know. Let's go.
the inverting doorway.
Ugh. I don't like this one. Oh, bingo!
See that pattern in the last mural? That flower only grows above a certain elevation. Put the 3 locations together, and you've got a square mile in the northeast corner of the deep zone. Huh. The visions were pointing towards something the entire time.
Hey, Oppie, you can stop pretending to ignore us now. Take a look at this. Fine work. We've pinned down the location for the source of the mass hallucination. That's where the driver needs to go.
Well, what do you know?
Well, I knew the basilizer worked. What did I tell you, huh?
He still doesn't know, Francis.
Know what?
Oppie?
Not my story to share.
my theory. And that basilizer, they're, illegitimate.
Wait, what are you saying?
I built that device to prove my imprint theory, and it was on the verge of getting the results I needed. But my research funding was running out. So, I forged the data. Not much, just enough to justify more time. I was so close. I knew the breakthrough was right around the corner.
But Arda found out. That's why I was reassigned and my clearance revoked.
Wait, you told me you changed labs voluntarily.
8 years of research with nothing to show for it, and then for that to happen, I couldn't face you.
That doesn't mean your theory is wrong.
I still think there's something to it. There's a common thread with some of the remnant stories, like the telephone switchboard, the ones that seem to recall the past somehow. Maybe the remnants access those imprints,
Read them like a needle in the groove of a record.
Don't. You don't have to do that. It's in the past. I don't care about it anymore.
But listen, I've got this suspicion, right? If we can just get the cause of the mass hallucination source, what do we find that can prove your theory? It's worth a try, isn't it?
I'm tired of trying, Tobias. I've tried all my life, and it didn't go so well.
Look, I don't have one of those fancy degrees that you and Oppie have. The closest I ever got to science was wiping down your lab benches. But I saw the incredible things that you did with your research.
Yeah, well, Arda didn't think they were incredible.
I don't care about Arda. I believe in you. Always have.
I'm sorry. I can't. I can't do this with her. Oppie led the disciplinary committee that stripped my clearance and demoted me to a glorified intern. She sat there and decided how best to humiliate me. I never asked for anything. This one time I do, so I would never have to talk to Abi again. You didn't listen. Your remnant was more important than what I wanted.
Francis, I didn't mean...
I've had enough.
He'll come around. Sorry, driver. We'll see you back in the auto shop.
Chyba pierwszy raz nie damy rady. Nie mamy apteczek. Będzie dupa. Ale dostaliśmy baty. Okej, takie buty. Utniemy to trochę i spotkamy się w drodze do miejsca, w którym zginęliśmy. Drugie podejście. Więc trochę to zajmie. Ja chcę tylko tam dojechać i to przeżyć. Jeszcze jedno skrzyżowanie. Ale żabongi tu gadają. Co to znaczy? Czy my musimy znowu te murale pooglądać wszystkie? Bo to będzie wtedy słabe trochę. Wow, fajnie, fajnie. Tu ładnie. Do drogi, jeśli można tu jakąś drogę znaleźć. A za blisko jesteśmy, dobra. Dobra, taka jest zasada. W ramach przypomnienia szybkiego widzieliśmy 3 freski, obrazy. Jeden z nich to było wielkie nagromadzenie, czyli pojawiające się łódki i historia ze sternikiem. Drugi wielka stopa. No to wiadomo, cała historia i apetyt na grzybki. A trzeci to te drzwi odwracające drzwi, które wywracają wszystko na opak, w sensie na lewą stronę. No dobra, i gra nam jakby zaliczyła zadanie fabularne. Przez to, że nie uciekliśmy, zginęliśmy, to musieliśmy przejechać tą trasę jeszcze raz, ale tym razem bez zbierania niepotrzebnego. Po prostu uciekliśmy i...
Interesting thing about that deep zone area you identified. I ran every coordinate in that area through the auto database, and what turns up? But access logs with entry records for Dr. K up through March 1963.
What? No, the doctor died in 1961, and then the lab accident.
So we were told. Then, I found access logs for both that deep zone site and Red Meadow. Years and years worth of activity.
The Red Meadow Research Facility? But it was demolished the same year. After the structural damage caused by the... lied about that too, didn't they?
It appears so. The driver should give the Red Meadow ruins a visit. If Dr. K didn't die that day, I'd like to know what was keeping him so busy.
So would I, but do we have time for this? We don't know how long the driver's got with that remnant.
And that's why we need this information. Whatever Dr. K was doing relates to all of this. It may be the key to what lies at the end of the road for the driver.
I... agree with you. God, I hate saying that.
Driver, I've marked the Red Meadow facility on your route planner. Head there whenever you're ready.
Fabuła toczy się dalej. Czy tu się okazało, że jednak ten gość, który robił eksperyment z mężem Opi, żyje? Czy ja to dobrze zrozumiałem? To się nakręca fabułka. Dobra, to tutaj sobie skończymy ten podwójny wypad. Zgubiliśmy maskę. O nie, a ta maska była taka fajna. I zobaczymy się w kolejnym już wkrótce. Do usłyszenia.